Everyone, this is Dr. Katherine Kelly, and I actually am going to have a lot of fun talking about this today because I do a lot of spiritual work and I do a lot of my own spiritual work and I do a lot of spiritual work for other people. Being a soul healing therapist and a soul healing specialist, understanding the soul has taken my work just astronomically higher and deeper than it could have ever gone had I just followed through with basic psychology, but it's also helped people understand their many, many layers. So a lot of people ask, gosh, why would I want to know about past lives? Why, how could it help me? What is it going to do for me? And, my most important thing that I tell people is that it helps us understand a lot of our emotional triggers that might seem like they come out of nowhere. It might also help you understand why you have this draw or this attraction to visit somewhere, or why it is that you feel like you know someone immediately, even though you've never physically met them in this lifetime before. And I want to share a really important and a very profound experience that I had several years ago. Now, I have had past life memories spontaneously come up for years, and it's helped explain relationships, it's helped explain situations, but this one is very poignant. So I'm going to rewind the tape way back when I was a kid. When I was probably in middle school, maybe early high school, my one of my brothers was an avid reader. He just would read anything, and he loved Scientific American. He loved National Geographic. He loved anything that was kind of sciency and historical. And so my father would buy him magazines, and it was one of those things where you'd see him laying there, and you'd kind of get this. At least I would get this curiosity about certain things. One of the, I think it was Scientific American magazine, there was a cover that had the picture of Machu Picchu on it. And Machu Picchu is one of the seven wonders of the world. It is one of those incredible places that when you get there, you don't even know how the heck they built this thing. And I'm going to show you a picture of it in just a second. But I remember seeing on that magazine the picture of Machu Picchu, and I thought, wow, I really want to go there someday. Now, granted, I was probably maybe 12, 13, 14 at the time, but I was so drawn to the picture. I was just attracted to how it looked. And I'm going to show this to you right now. That'll help. And then I'm going to tell the story. This is, oh, there's my circle light. That's not helping. This is Machu Picchu. It is such an incredible place. It is literally at the top of one of the Andes Mountains. And I could tell you all kinds of things about Peru, but it's one of those beautiful things where, again, I was drawn to it. I didn't know why. I didn't understand it. I just knew I was supposed to go. And so fast forward, right before I was 40 years old, I was told by Spirit, you need to go to Peru before you turn 40. Now, granted, I had a lot going on at, turning 40. I had a lot career-wise going on. Lots of different things were happening for me. But Spirit said very clearly, you have to go before you're 40. And I thought, well, okay, that'll be my 40th birthday gift to myself. And so I found a group to travel with. I didn't know anybody else who wanted to go to Peru at the time, and found a travel group to go with, and didn't know any of them. I thought, okay, this is another part of my adventure. Okay. And so the Sacred Valley is tucked in this beautiful, beautiful valley within the Andes Mountains. And it is an incredible place. And I'm a mountain girl anyway. I love mountains. And so basically, the group for the first few days went through different sacred sites that were in the Sacred Valley before we got to the base of Machu Picchu, which is really at the end, not the end, but kind of toward the end of the valley. And there's this little village called Aguas Calientes that's at the base of it, and that's where we stayed. So very first day we go up there, and the shaman that was part of our group basically took us up to the top. We rode this, the way you get there is this switchback road. It's about a 25-minute drive up this very steep mountain, very beautiful mountain range. But I cried all the way up. I just wept because those mountains were so incredible, and I was just feeling the energy, and it was so beautiful. And so the shaman gets us up to the top, and he didn't let us go look at the plaza until a little bit later. And he just got us on the edge. He had us sense the energies, just really tune into the energies. Now, granted, I was already tuned into those energies. And he had us keep our eyes closed, and he had us hold hands, and he led us. There were, I think, 15 people in the group. He led us with our eyes closed to the edge of where you could basically open your eyes and you're overlooking what I just showed you, that plaza area, all of the ruins. It was just gorgeous. The second I opened my eyes, I heard, welcome home, welcome home, welcome home. And I can feel it right now because it was such a profound time where I knew when I was 12 or 13 years old that I was supposed to visit. Spirit told me I had to go before I was 40. And so when I opened my eyes and I just literally just kept hearing, welcome home, welcome home, welcome home, I burst out sobbing because it was like a homecoming. I felt so incredibly connected with that place, so just beautifully sourced. I don't know how else to say it. It was just, the energy was just moving right through me. And it was such a beautiful experience. And I sobbed for 3.5 hours. I could not stop crying. And luckily, the American leader who created this group, I don't know how much she understood, but I do know that she was embracing the moment for me. She was allowing me to have that space, which again, I could feel coming up right now. It was just such a beautiful experience. So I cried for those 3.5 hours. We go down basically to Aguascalientes for the night, and then we went back up the next day to do another ceremony and also to hike Huayna Picchu, which I'm going to try to do this without the light showing on this. This is Huayna Picchu, and it's the mountain that overlooks Machu Picchu, and it's always in the background of these beautiful pictures. So we hiked this thing, and as you can tell, it is straight up. It is just an intense hike. We get up there. I lay at the very top. I have a picture of me laying at the very tippy top of this thing, and I was just soaking in the energy. We hiked back down that day, and then we had the rest of the afternoon to ourselves. And I basically did not want to leave that place. And they said, we could stay up the rest of the afternoon. You can stay up as much as you want. They don't let you do that these days. They don't let you stay the whole day necessarily. But I wanted to go back up and sit at the guardhouse, which overlooks this plaza area. And one of the other travelers with me came with me up to there. She didn't want to leave yet either. I had really done a lot of research and studying about what each one of the spaces were, what the sacred sites were, what the temples were. And I was sitting up there, pointing them out to her, and then we decided to meditate. And so we closed our eyes. Her name was Kathy as well, but we closed our eyes. About 30 minutes later, I opened my eyes and I'm just kind of looking around, watching people below. I happened to look up in the clouds and I was just dumbfounded. I was just shocked at what I saw. It's a no-fly zone. You don't see any airplanes. You do see parrots going by. You see macaws flying by in flocks, which is just incredible too. But I look up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe what I'm seeing. And right then, the other Kathy opened her eyes and I said, Kathy, before you do anything else, please look up in the clouds and tell me what you see. And she said, it's a 40. I see a 40. And I was like, that's exactly what I was seeing. I'm going to show this picture to you. So if you see this, here's the 4, here's the 0. Now, it's a pretty clear thing. I don't know how the heck that could not have been divinely created because again, there's no planes, but you see this 40. Now this may be showing backwards on this video, but I see this, I grab my camera, I take a picture, and then right then it all dissipated. So why am I saying this about 40? So Spirit led me to go to Machu Picchu before I was 40. What does it do? It presents a 40. So that's unmistakable for me. It was just another sign from Spirit that I had to be there, that I had to be experiencing that in that moment. And I had to really bring all of that energy in. Now, at the time, I didn't really understand fully what it meant about me hearing welcome home, welcome home, welcome home. I just knew, okay, I've had a past life here. So later in the trip, Spirit told me, you'll be back in 2 years. And I'm thinking, no, this is a once in a lifetime kind of event. It's not a cheap trip. It's not an easy trip. But Spirit said, no, you'll be back. You'll be back. And so sure enough, 2 years later, I hear you need to go back. And at that point, it was for an 11-11-11 ceremony. So an 11-11-11 ceremony that was happening there at a different part of Peru in Lake Titicaca region. I knew I needed to go with that. It was the same shaman that was on the trip, different team leader, but I wanted to go back to Machu Picchu. And so I scheduled 4 days prior to meeting with the group to go back and see Machu Picchu again, experience it, just be there. It was such an incredible experience. So I went on my own and did the exact same thing. I hiked through and then I went up and I sat up at that guardhouse again. And what was beautiful about it that time was when I opened my eyes after meditating, I saw a shaman that I had seen at a conference earlier that year. It was in April of that year in Sedona. And so what's fascinating is I watched him walk through, and then my eyes fell on another person that was sitting on a stone right near where this shaman had walked by. But this person was in his native dress. So basically, he was in a shaman's outfit too. And he was just sitting there. And then, boom, I had the flashback to who I was in that past life 550 years ago. And it just all flooded through me. So I had to go back the second time to experience the next wave of what was about to happen so that what was happening, so I could understand what was going to happen at my time at Lake Titicaca. And so I'll share that information with you another time. But I want to get very clear about why it was so important for me. So up until age 40, I was going through my own spiritual journey. I was having these spontaneous reactions. I was reading a ton. I was having spiritual sessions. I was doing everything I could to understand spirit and the soul more. And apparently, I was ready to understand it at a deeper level because of this experience and this memory that I started to have. What did it do for me? So not only did it help me make a lot of sense about why I was drawn to Peru, but it also helped me make a lot of sense about a lot of my other experiences that I had to have up to that time and all of the quote instructions I had from spirit to get me to where I needed to be. Now, not everybody is going to have these experiences. People who want past life experiences sometimes don't have them. Why is that? To me, it is because either it's not part of your soul path to begin with, or you're not ready to hear it. Now, learning about a lot of your past life experiences is not always easy. There can be some very tragic information that can come up. Now, I have seen that I've drowned in past lives. I've seen my throat get slit in past lives. I've seen myself get speared in past lives. I've seen who has done it. I know who has done it. And I know their soul, even though they may not know that they were those people in those lives. But boy, does it help you understand the kinds of dynamics that you have with these people and the kinds of things that you need to learn in order to bring yourself full circle to do some of the deeper healing. Now, I have had some pretty difficult things happen in my life, but a lot of people wouldn't know it because I've done the soul healing. I've done a lot of it. I don't carry those things anymore. And so some of this is just so important to understand that when it is the right time and place and circumstance, you can do these levels of healing that release all of the trauma from the past, a lot of the trauma from this lifetime, so that you can move forward unencumbered and really lead what I call that radiant life. So my first book, Soul Health, Aligning with Spirit for Radiant Living, talks about learning to lead a radiant life. And to go to the deeper levels, sometimes we have to go to reincarnation and we have to go to past life kinds of therapies in order to help remove the things that are blocking our way from leading that radiant life. So there are so many different ways to understand this whole soul health thing, this whole past life thing. So I want to bring some history to you. What's very, very, very interesting, and I find this very interesting, is that most of the Western religions don't talk about reincarnation at all. A lot of the Eastern traditions do. Now, Hinduism is the longest lasting religion, basically thousands and thousands of years old, and they have always believed in reincarnation. Now, some forms of Buddhism do, other parts or other forms of religions do. Christianity tends to not these days believe in reincarnation. However, what people don't know is that reincarnation was in the Christian Bible prior to about 300 AD. And there was a ruler by the name of Constantine that wiped the records, basically realized that if we had the chance to understand that we had more than one opportunity, then they thought that they wouldn't listen to the government. So basically, Constantine wiped reincarnation from the Bible about 30, I think, and I've talked about this before, 30 years later, wiped it from a lot of the other writings and a lot of the belief system, because they replaced it with the idea that you only get one chance and you basically have to do everything you can. You've got to listen to everybody other than yourself, and you have to kind of pass these tests in order to get to heaven, or else you're going to hell. Now, that is just not the case. And what's interesting is the research is actually pretty clear that about 40 to 45% of Christians admit that they believe in past lives, but they really don't talk about it. They don't really know where else to talk about it. So, why am I bringing this up? It's because millions and millions of people every year seek soul healing um, therapies, and many more are seeking out past life regression therapies to help themselves understand what the heck is going on with their current life. I just had a person today from my hometown in Colorado contact me and say she wants to understand these past lives. She wants to understand her karmic relationships with these people. I did not know this person growing up. She was 5 years younger than me, 5 or 6 years younger, but 6 years younger than me. So I didn't know this person at all. But it's very fun to know what a small world there is and how many more people are looking toward reincarnation and understanding past lives and understanding their karmic contracts to be able to heal in this lifetime. And so when I talk about bringing ancient wisdom forward to help you with the modern soul, this is exactly what this is the idea of reincarnation is thousands of years old. Astrology is thousands of years old. Soul healing, shamanism, all of these things are thousands of years old, but we need to bring them back to the present. We need to bring them back to modern living to help us weave in and understand how we can get further in not only leading that radiant life, but also how we can get further in our soul's evolution. So I would love to hear your questions. This is one of those things where I'm passionate about it, obviously. I've also had enough of my own life experiences and I will share more and more of those to help you understand this. But this is it. This is where we need to crack that seal, go deeper, and actually widen our lens to help people understand that there's much more to healing and there's much more that we can do in order to overcome our obstacles. So I hope you have a wonderful day. Integrate this information. Let me know if you have questions, and I would love to hear your comments. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.